Hey bookworms, welcome back to my channel and to another book review, and this time I'll be reviewing No Time for Goodbye by Linwood Barclay. But before I get into this video, I just want to give you a heads up for October, the most darkly magical time of the year. And during the month of October, I'll be uploading every Saturday reviewing horror novels, and this year my theme will be Victorian horror novels. So if that's something that might interest you, don't forget to subscribe and click the little bell icon so you won't miss anything. Now back to the review. The story behind why I'm reviewing it now, it's a little funny. So I read this book for the first time when it just came out. It was more than a decade ago, and I really liked it, especially considering that I was expecting some sort of a Harlan Coben style book, and no disrespect to Mr. Coben, but I find his style to be one of those silly action-filled throwaway thrillers. So I like this one so much that I even talked about it in my list of favorite detective books. Now fast forward about a month ago and someone just dumped a bunch of books in a train station for the taking, and among them was this one. So I got nostalgic and took it. Also, it was in German and I wanted to improve my German, so win-win. And as I was reading it, I realized that now, 10 years and lots of mental maturity later, I see this book a little differently. There are things about it that I never even thought about back then, but really stood out to me now. I rarely reread books since starting YouTube, mostly because I don't have any time for it, but it was very interesting to reread this one. So let's get started with the plot. In 1983, teenager Cynthia storms off to her room after a fight with her parents and sleeps off a hangover. Kinda gives you a hint about what the fight was about. But when she wakes up, her entire family is gone. Father, mother, brother disappeared without a trace and were never heard from again. Now, 25 years later, Cynthia is a grown-up with a family of her own, and her husband Terry is the narrator of the story. And as a memorial for the 25th anniversary of the disappearance, Cynthia appears on television, which not only brings back many memories, but kind of reopens the case. Now, the police wouldn't get involved in a cold case, but new information about it start popping up, as well as strange things that start happening that lead Cynthia to believe that her family is still alive somewhere. So, first thing off the bat, it's this plot line that hooked me right from the start. It's not a dead body. It's not even a sudden disappearance. It's an entire family, all except one, who vanished one day, and 25 years later, no one had a clue what happened to them. And this is a really good hook. Otherwise, it's not another boring thriller. Okay, let's face it, it's one of those usual thrillers, but with a twist and somewhat better. So in short, as far as fun, pass-the-time thrillers go, this is a pretty good one. It has a fascinating mystery, compelling human characters you really root for, and a jaw-dropping twist ending that will hit you like a ton of bricks. I know, I felt like that. In addition, I feel compelled to say it doesn't have a ton of action, at least for the most part. The last third, let's say, is a race against the clock, but prior to it, it's just regular people's lives. I just loved how things happen and then Terry and Cynthia think, okay, we need to do something about it. It's a clue, but they have no idea how to start investigating. Also, every time they decide not to involve the police, they actually have a good reason for it. So kudos for actually portraying people who think like humans and have reasoning behind their actions. Whether you agree with their actions is beside the point. You understand why they, in their situation, did what they did. However, as I mentioned before, there are things that I saw differently this time. And the one aspect that I experienced completely differently was the character of Cynthia and her marriage and relationships. Honestly, the first time I read this book, I really didn't care. All I cared about was the mystery and the way to solve it. But this time, I found her character on the verge of insufferable. Now, I appreciate that this woman went through a huge trauma. One morning, she wakes up, just a young girl, and her entire family is gone. She doesn't know if they're dead, if they abandoned her. She doesn't know if maybe one of them killed all the others. And no doubt this kind of trauma demands a lifetime of psychological treatment. And you never get over traumas, you just learn to live with them. The issue is that she didn't, but the book kind of pretends she did. Look, she's married to a guy she met in college. She has a job, maybe friends. We don't really see them in the book. And she has a young girl. She must have reached some kind of normalcy in order to date, to maintain a relationship. She created a new life and now she needs to take care of this child. But the Cynthia we actually see in this book is so obsessed with her family's mystery. She cannot find any time or headspace for anything else. She puts herself and her daughter in danger, chasing a very minor clue. She jeopardizes her future at work. She completely neglects her husband, who is way too forgiving in my opinion. The Cynthia I saw this entire book, I would have broken up with her as a friend. I'm sorry, respect and empathy for what she's been through, but her utter obsession with it to the point of madness is simply unbearable. And honestly, I think just Berkley didn't do a good job as portraying her as anything else. If I knew her in real life, or if I were Terry, I wouldn't have been able to forgive her for some of her actions. So to conclude, if you're looking for a fast-paced thriller that has a great mystery and something more than just action, this is definitely a good one. Don't expect, though, on one hand, the deep book that will change your life, and then on the other hand, an investigation from start to finish. This book is as much about living with trauma as it is about trying to figure out what caused it. And again, the character of Cynthia was the book's downfall, with all the praise I have for it. The author, I believe, wanted to portray a woman traumatized by something almost unimaginable, a woman who tries to stay sane amidst the craziness of the case, who tries to have a normal life. But in reality, we only see the negative side of her. I never saw her truly caring about her family, only this obsessive worry that she should keep them as close as possible, they will vanish too. She insists of living in the past and becomes almost aggressive when faced with the facts, so I really couldn't feel bad for her. I mean, I did for what happened to her, and I wouldn't dream of telling a person in her shoes to just get over it because it's been almost 3 decades. But look, she can either live in the present with her new family who loves her, or continue to obsess about the past and as a result lose the precious time she has with them. And guys, that was my review of No Time for Goodbye. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel. Also, write me a comment down below and share some recommendations for some good thrillers. And of course, don't forget to stay tuned for Halloween month, and I need a name for the series, Victorian horror novels. What do you think? Guys, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.